Yo, what's going on? It's the One More Thing Daily. And this is the second video this week where I've decided to completely change the topic and the focus of my video. Today was going to be Artist of the Week. I don't even know if I'm going to run an Artist of the Week this week now because I haven't got enough time. Maybe I will tomorrow. That doesn't matter. I want to respond to or chime in or talk about this post that Waypoint made yesterday.
I'd do anything to protect this scene, even if it means putting my own career at risk. For some time now, there has been a label that has been making artists, big and small, feel vulnerable, intimidated, bullied, frankly exploited, including myself.
Heavy stuff and truthful, honest stuff as well. It's got a lot of people talking, but it hasn't got anybody who's been in the industry for any longer than 5 minutes particularly surprised. Now, he isn't calling out the label that has treated him this way, so neither am I, mainly because I feel like there's obviously another side to the story there. Now, I know two people involved in that label. It's pretty obvious who he's talking about. And both of them are really, really sound people as far as my experiences have assured me. One in particular I've met many times. Both of them are being featured on this platform. So for that reason, I'm not going to call it out because I think there's another side to this story. But what he's saying, and in terms of kind of how he felt and how he's been treated, is wrong. Now, this isn't, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. If anybody ever feels like that, then they need to get the hell out of the situation really, really quickly. And if any label or management company or promoter or agent is making people feel like that, then you are a twat and you are the rot in the industry. Now, this is a problem, but it isn't new. It's far from new. Right, so let me tell you a little story, okay? Because this is like, I've been in the industry 25 years, and there's still stuff that still surprises me. There's a lot of stuff that's kept away from journalists, obviously. The business side really bothers me. The business side of life bothers me. I don't understand numbers. I don't understand this perpetual need for growth. Right, I don't understand this kind of this constant land grab, this hoarding of money, this need for power. I don't get it. I honestly, I take pride in supporting others and shining a light on others, and I think that's a much more valuable asset than anything else. Although it doesn't pay the bills or feed my kids. This isn't new. This isn't new in any way. I'll give you a little story. So a couple of years ago, I was still on UKF at the time. I'm interviewing, but I was at Vision. I was doing Vision Radio because we were playing this geezer's songs. And they were amazing. They were blowing me away. It's like, what the hell, man? And in the end, we did an interview. I was like, I need to interview the shit out of this person. I'm not going to say who they are, like, because I don't want to point again to any legal issues. And it doesn't really matter. I think one in particular, because the label in question is no longer around. But we have an amazing interview. We have an amazing chat. He has an amazing story. At the end, he turns around and he's like, can I ask your professional advice off the record? Yeah, of course. Should I owe this money, this label money? I was like, what? No, you're releasing music on the label. So he explained things, and he explained how on the books, on the system that label was using, he was £500 in the red. I was like, what the hell? And he was like, yeah, and apparently it's for press and promo. So the label had been charging him for press and promo. Now, at the time, I was writing for UKF, DJ Mag, IDJ was online as well, Bandcamp, Mix Mag. I was on the regular. I wasn't doing One More Thing. I was very much a freelancer with my finger in as many fucking pies as possible. And I was like, let me search for the name. Like, I hadn't even had promos of this person, let alone any requests. And I knew the person who was doing the press for that label. They'd never once got in touch with me. Now, being as I was working for all of those titles, there are other people who write about drum and bass as well, but surely I would have been contacted once. He's being charged £100 a time, as I remember the conversation going. And, you know, everything had kind of balanced out, sales and everything else. And he apparently owed the label money. I was incredulous about this. I was absolutely livid. I was going to write all types of articles about it. Later that night then, I went out to Lightbox. And right at the end of the night, I'm chatting away to a whole load of people, like a whole load of industry people, fellow DJs and MCs and stuff. And I'm like, yo, how about this story? And I'm like, yeah, that happens all of the time. Like that blew me away. Obviously, labels have costs. They put in a lot of money into promo. They put a lot of money into, the whole kind of system which puts music out there. Labels certainly historically had a hell of a lot of power and still can now. If you're an artist with zero followers, with zero kind of connections, or a network, and a label signs you and boosts you up, people are going to know about you. Labels still have, if done well, and even if done badly and bullishly, labels can make people into stars, like into, it can give them elevated positions. I don't like using the word stars because drum and bass and underground music isn't about stars. So there's that little story. That's just one little story. And I was like, wow, okay. Then you start to kind of notice it a little bit more and more and more. And things that people would make a joke about before is like, hang on a minute. A friend of mine, like, he's like, oh man, I've had my album signed by this in amazing, like, super respected, one of the original labels. Oh wow, wicked, congratulations. Like, when's it coming out? I'm not too sure, probably about 3 or 4 years. What the fuck? 3 or 4 years? Now, music's meant to be timeless. The best music is timeless and lives in a league of its own, a universe of its own. But what the hell? 3 or 4 years? You don't even know where you're going to be. That's not fair. Let another label have that fucking album. Let the artist do something with their own art. Like, 3, 4 years, you don't know where that artist is going to be. I know, like, another DJ really recently on One More Thing, said, like, oh yeah, like, any dubs on this mix? Yeah, loads. Like, some on insert label here. When they're coming out? Don't know. It's been like that for 2 years. That's shit. That is shit, right? Holding on to someone else's art and giving them that fucking carrot, like, oh yeah, no, this is going to come out, bro, this is going to come out. Like, that's not fair on the artist. You could be sitting on a massive bomb there, like something that they could really fucking leverage their career on, something that they could pay some bills on and feed their own kids with. Like labels treating artists like shit is wrong. It's always been the way. There's loads of stories. On the Stevie Hyper D documentary, you got Flinty and Demon, Ragga Twins, talking about basically the birth of jungle. And they were saying, like, their first album, Reggae Music Owes Me Money, came about because a sound system that they were making bare records for and performing for and working their fingers to the bone for didn't pay them anything. So they left and came over to the dance. That was a very big trigger point for the start of jungle. Lots of other things happening all around as well. There's lots of other things building up to that moment, but that's huge. And that's as a result of artists not getting paid. But this tactic now that Waypoint is talking about, this is a whole other level, I think. And this is insidious. And he talks about the monopolization. Now, I'm going to talk really broadly because I don't want to get involved in any fucking legal wrangles. I don't particularly want to make any enemies, but neither am I here to make best buddies. I've already got really good friends. I've got such little numbers. I've got nothing to lose. What I've got is a massive long tenure in the game and consistency. So I am going to sit here and I'm going to support what Waypoint has been saying and saying it's shit. If you hold people back, if you threaten them that they're not going to get gigs or coerce them off their own records, I mean, it's what he's talking about there. If you go back, like, I've only shown you a little clip. Look at the Instagram, follow him. Like, he's made a few other posts as well about being signed to major labels and stuff. This isn't the first time. And I've got to say as well, I've been guilty of this, even in my own tiny weeny little One More Thing way. I have said, yeah, I'll have it, even for a free download, and then I've not released it because over time then I've realised, like, actually there's something else. I've moved on. My thoughts have changed. I'm very sporadic and very shoot from the hippie anyway. That's why today isn't an artist of the week. But I mean, I'm doing these daily videos. Like, I might as well fucking share my opinion and back up the argument, the case, the drama that's going on this week. Sometimes the drama is best left well over there. Like, but this one, like, no, if people are being treated like shit, people feel like they don't want to be making music anymore, and that's all they wanted to do. That's really sad. None of this is new. Labels, especially major labels just exist to make money. That's literally it. They don't care for creativity. They don't. Massive brands don't care for creativity. They want numbers, they want money. That's the side that they want. And we're in a capitalist society where this whole structure has been made by us and our fucking parents and our parents' parents and greed. Like, we live in this system, so I ain't going to call out people for trying to make money. Like, I just not money motivated myself. I just don't understand business. I've already said that. But if you want to make it in the world, if you want to make music, if creativity is your driving force, then avoid all of those people. It's really obvious. Like, don't sign to a major label. Look at contracts. Like, there's a lot of talk about people like, oh, the new generation, they got management now. We didn't need management. I actually feel like young artists do need somebody looking after their back a hell of a lot more than they did previously, because there's way more ways to make it to the top, but there's so many different blocks, and there's so many other things grabbing our attention. I think that anybody kind of grabs onto any hope that they might make it up. Now, if you want to be a star, if you want to be a headliner, if you want to be in the charts, if you want to be making fucking pop music, go ahead, follow that. Like, one more thing really isn't the right place to be talking to people with those type of aspirations. Like, I am underground and DIY and as raw and as real as it gets. So those are the type of people that I want to speak to. That's the audience I want to sing to. That's the audience I want supporting one more thing, really. And I know it's never, ever, ever going to make me rich, but I'm not here for that. I'm here for the art. I saw a really, really interesting post by The Secret DJ, who's more kind of, he's known for calling out people in the house and techno world, but all of that type of behavior is clearly seeping into drum and bass. And he's talking about the recent boxing match that happened last weekend, which was terrible and an absolute sham. And it's talking about how the spectacle has taken over the actual art. And I do feel that that's a really, really valid point. And essentially, that is a reflection. That's the EDMification of boxing, and that it's already been happening in electronic music for years and years and years. I think that's a really, really interesting point. So I've moved much, much broadly, like, to bring it back to Waypoint. Big up for talking, for sharing your experiences and highlighting how you felt. Right? Because if you felt like that and you felt bullied and you were told that you couldn't get bookings or that certain things might not happen in your career because of a decision that you've made, then that is the shittest behavior. And why are people supporting that? Like, what massive brands do for this culture is turn it into a one-way consumption. Instead of a two-way collaboration, instead of an interaction between the fan, the appreciator, the raver, and the creators, where dialogue can be created. People can set up their own little nights. People do little edits. People do things, get involved in different ways. Like, that's where real culture happens. When it gets huge, humongous brands, then it's literally one way. It's literally one way. They are spoon-feeding you, whether you like it or not. So if you want to be a massive star and if you want to chase that, then great, good luck, but you're going to end up, or there's a higher chance that you'll end up in a situation like Waypoint has. It's great that Waypoint has been able to get out of that situation, and it does sound, if you watch those clips, there's a lot of labels which are helping grassroots talent. I want to be in that list as well. One more thing is, here for the grassroots. You won't find the big headliners on this site unless they're doing something to help me raise the profile of my site so I can help more grassroots people. Like, there's way too much confidence in that top block, and it's only because of money. But if we take out money and we're just judging things on the basis of credibility and on the basis of art, then that top block is nothing. So it depends what you're in this for. So labels, anything, agents, brands, promoters, stop treating people like shit, because eventually, especially in this climate, people will eventually be called out and the whole scene will crumble. The whole scene, as people know it now, with these huge lineups and loads of people, that will move on. You can already see that the new generation, there's already talk of people changing trends, like of raving not being so popular. But if it's art, then it can be appreciated in any type of way, in any type of context. We're here for the art. Raving will never die on the underground. Stop treating people like shit. And if you feel like you've been bullied, if you feel shit, or you've been ostracized, or you've been left out of some type of loop because of some sort of reason that isn't fair, then I'm interested in hearing your story. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I know that anybody who comes and works or talks or gets supported by One More Thing gets treated fairly. I'd also like to apologise to anybody who I've said, yes, I'll take that tune, and then not done anything with it. I've probably done it about 10 times, maybe. If you're watching this and you're thinking, bollocks, you're just as bad. But then I never put that tune out and exploited it for other reasons or anything like that. It's just because I work at 1,000 miles an hour, and sometimes I don't reverse and go back and clean up any fucking crashes that I've caused or anything like that. So yeah, just for total transparency there. It does happen, but the treatment of people, I know I could do better, but by the sounds of Waypoint's posts, like, whoo, wow. Like, yeah, there's some really shit behaviour out there. There are two sides to every single story. There's more than two sides to every story. There's perspective. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and say, don't treat people like shit. So sorry to the artist of the week. You don't even know who you are. You're actually getting an interview from one of my team in about an hour or so anyway. So maybe I don't do artist of the week this week, but I do like consistency. Other shit that we have going on One More Thing. If you're on Patreon, you will hear Annalise's first ever podcast. That's with Ecstatic. What else do we have on the website? We will be having an article with Minor Forms coming up, and we just dropped a free download from APOM as well. Loads of other cool stuff going on. Keep on supporting these videos and watching these videos. Spread the word about One More Thing, and don't be a dick. Until tomorrow, see you later.